crews race to save thousands of homes. Closer to LA, heartbreak. The flames consuming everything in their path.
The fire was coming right at us.
This morning, 190,000 people are evacuated, and the biggest threat right now is just how long these fires could burn.
For the third time this week, a member of Congress announces his resignation. What this congressman is accused of asking his female staffers. And right now, another congressman facing a growing investigation.
Day of rage. The Middle East is preparing as violence flares after the president's decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital. The group now calling for a new uprising.
Delivering a new idea, why UPS may be ditching the brown trucks and downsizing to get your packages to you on time.
And it may be one of the most popular drinks this holiday season, but get ready for the calorie count that comes with the sugar high.
From ABC News in New York, this is America This Morning.
A good morning to all. I'm Diane Macedo.
And I'm Kenneth Moten in for Candace Gibson. Just as fire crews in Southern California started making slow progress, an explosive new fire has erupted north of San Diego. Flames quickly exploded, scorching more than 6 square miles in the first few hours.
That wildfire brings the total to 6 major fires burning out of control. At least 190,000 people have now been ordered to evacuate. Overnight, a new state of emergency in California. A massive fire north of San Diego is growing by the hour. Dubbed the Lilac Fire, it's destroyed dozens of homes and is threatening thousands more. ABC's Rob Marciano is there.
We just came up on the Lilac Fire, and this is the first property that we came up on. Look at how it's burning right now. Up in flames, not even 50 yards from it, and I can feel the intense heat.
Flames are jumping highways as people are forced to evacuate with only minutes to spare.
This blaze continues to rage out of control. Strong winds helping to fan the flames, and it is causing so much destruction. Take a look behind me here, and you can see what is left of this large ranch here in Fallbrook. Nothing but the chimney, everything reduced to rubble. This is one of nearly 24 structures gutted by this blaze. Thousands have been evacuated.
Watch as a low-flying plane drops fire retardant, catching people inside this home off guard. And then there's the race to save the animals. At this farm, trainers were forced to set these horses free with no time to lead them to safety. This is just one of a half-dozen fires burning in California. In Ventura County, the Thomas Fire is closing in on this beachfront community after burning more than 200 square miles and destroying over 400 buildings. Officials warn the flames could burn all the way through Christmas. Our David Muir is there.
And everywhere you look in these neighborhoods we've traveled through, this is what you see. The front walkways leading right up to the front door that was once there. And as we walk beyond the front gate at this home, we see the same thing over and over again. You can see here, stairs everywhere, stairs to nowhere now.
In Riverside County, it looks like a massive air show as scores of tankers work to put out the flames. One woman watched as her home burned to the ground.
My house on fire. My house is on fire. A lot of propane tanks blowing up, so you know people's homes are going.
Unfortunately, just one of many people dealing with this kind of thing in California right now. And those Santa Ana winds that are stoking these fires are expected to last through tomorrow. Right now, the winds are calm across Southern California, but they're expected to pick up again with gusts near 30 miles per hour in some of the valleys.
We turn now to Capitol Hill and new fallout from the growing number of sexual harassment scandals in Congress. Just hours after Al Franken resigned on the Senate floor, another congressman announced he is stepping down because of what he said to women on his staff. And this morning, an ethics investigation targeting yet another congressman is expanding. ABC's Arlette Saenz is tracking all of it from Washington. Good morning, Arlette.
Hey, good morning, Kenneth and Diane. Well, after weeks of sexual misconduct allegations swirling on Capitol Hill, Congress is now seeing a resignation double whammy. 2 more lawmakers are resigning, one a Democrat from the Senate, another a Republican firebrand in the House, unable to withstand their allegations.
Calling it the worst day of his political life, Senator Al Franken acknowledged it's time to go.
In the coming weeks, I will be resigning as a member of the United States Senate.
8 women have accused the Minnesota Democrat of sexual misconduct. Franken has apologized for some of his behavior, but was clear.
Some of the allegations against me are simply not true.
Franken bowed to pressure from dozens of his colleagues to step down.
Enough is enough.
But took this parting shot at President Trump and Alabama Senate candidate Roy Moore.
I, of all people, am aware that there is some irony in the fact that I am leaving while a man who has bragged on tape about his history of sexual assault sits in the Oval Office, and a man who has repeatedly preyed on young girls campaigns for the Senate with the full support of his party.
The president and Moore each face multiple allegations of sexual misconduct, allegations they deny. And now, Republicans are seeing the first in their party to fall on Capitol Hill. Arizona Congressman Trent Franks announced he'll step aside as he faced an ethics investigation. In a statement, Franks acknowledged the inquiry regarding his discussions of surrogacy with 2 female subordinates, making each feel uncomfortable. Franks insists, "I have absolutely never physically intimidated, coerced, or had or attempted to have any sexual contact with any member of my congressional staff."
And one other lawmaker is also coming under scrutiny. Congressman Blake Farenthold, a Republican of Texas. The House Ethics Committee is looking into allegations Farenthold sexually harassed a former staffer and potentially retaliated against her for complaining. Diane and Kenneth, this is something that 2 of his colleagues have already called on him to resign for.
All right, Arlette, we'll keep following this one. Thank you so much.
Newly released emails in the Russia investigation are raising questions about Donald Trump Jr.'s recent testimony to a congressional committee, specifically his testimony about a meeting in Trump Tower with a Russian lawyer during the campaign. He had previously denied there was any follow-up to that meeting, but ABC News has learned emails from the publicist who set up the meeting suggest there was some sort of follow-up. Sources say Trump Jr. told a House committee he did not recall the emails, which were not directly sent to him. And Congressman and civil rights icon John Lewis has canceled his appearance at tomorrow's opening of the Civil Rights Museum in Mississippi because President Trump is attending the event. In a letter, Lewis and his fellow Congressman Benny Thompson wrote, quote, "President Trump's attendance and his hurtful policies are an insult to the people portrayed in this Civil Rights Museum." They cite what they call the president's disparaging comments about women, the disabled, immigrants, and NFL players. The White House calls the decision unfortunate.
We're following a developing story in Detroit. Police are investigating whether a serial shooter is on the loose, targeting highways in the city. They believe the same person is behind 3 shootings within minutes of each other yesterday. One driver was hit, and you can see that bullet hole right there in that one car. The victim is recovering. Police have not found any connection between the victims.
Now for a look at your weather on this Friday morning. Some people in Texas are waking up to an unusual sight. Heavy, wet snow fell as far south as San Antonio. Weather watchers tell us it's been about 30 years since they've seen that much snow accumulate in that part of Texas. Meanwhile, people on the East Coast this weekend will likely see their first significant snowfall of the season. A wintry mix is expected in Atlanta, an inch or 2 in Philadelphia and New York City. Parts of southern New Jersey could get 6 inches.
Say it ain't snow.
Coming up, why airlines will not be required to disclose their baggage. President Trump's decision to recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital.
And now there's a call for Palestinians to begin a new uprising. ABC's Molly Hunter continues our coverage from Jerusalem. Good morning, Molly.
Kenneth and Diane, good morning. That's right. We were out in Ramallah in the West Bank. Big protest, but not massive. Several thousand Palestinian protesters clashing with the Israeli military. They were widespread, though, all across the West Bank and in Gaza. Many saying the size of those protests could be an indication of something much bigger today. The flashpoint we're watching for is after Friday prayers. It's the biggest Muslim prayer day of the week, and it could be a turning point. These protests may fizzle out or they may ramp up. The PA is under pressure to cut ties with the U.S. and walk away from those U.S.-brokered peace deals. Vice President Mike Pence will be in the region at the end of the month. One Palestinian official said last night the Palestinians will not meet with the U.S. Vice President. Another Palestinian official, however, said that still needs to be discussed. But President Mahmoud Abbas has not commented or confirmed if he'll be meeting with the Vice President. President Mahmoud Abbas has, however, gone to the UN to appeal for support to reverse President Trump's decision. The UN Security Council will be meeting later today. Diane, Kenneth.
All right, Molly Hunter for us live in Jerusalem. Thanks, Molly. And the White House is sending some mixed messages about whether U.S. athletes will compete at the upcoming Olympics in South Korea. Earlier this week, UN Ambassador Nikki Haley said due to tensions with North Korea, U.S. participation was, quote, an open question. White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders echoed that sentiment yesterday, but then just moments later, she clarified, tweeting that the U.S. looks forward to participating in the Winter Olympics in South Korea. The protection of Americans is our top priority, and we're engaged with the South Koreans and other partner nations to secure the venues.
The Trump administration is scrapping another plan from the Obama era. This one would have required airlines to disclose baggage fees to customers at the beginning of the ticket buying process. The Department of Transportation says the rule would have cost airlines too much and would have offered only limited benefit for the public.
Coming up, you're not supposed to cry over spilled milk, but how about spilled vodka? We'll show you the latest crash on a major highway.
But first, more of our...
They're canceled today for school children in Aztec, New Mexico after a deadly shooting at their high school.
Hundreds held a vigil last night for victims Casey Marquez and Francisco Fernandez. They were shot and killed yesterday morning inside Aztec High. Police say the shooter's body was found in the school with a gun and loaded magazines nearby. The shooting set off a panic. Students say their only warning was an announcement over the intercom.
She said this is not a drill, and that's when it got serious. After a while, it got closer, and it was obviously gunshots. And that's when I tensed up.
The shooter has not been publicly identified, but police say he was a student. Police had to shoot through a locked door to get inside the school. Some of the officers had children in the building and were taking calls from their kids as they responded.
Wow. And the former doctor for U.S. Olympic gymnastics team will likely spend the rest of his life in prison. Dr. Larry Nassar was sentenced Thursday to 60 years for possessing child pornography. Next month, Nassar will be sentenced for sexually abusing young girls.
In medical news, researchers have a grim new projection about Alzheimer's disease, showing a staggering rise in the number of cases. They believe 46 million Americans are now in the early stages of the disease, and scientists predict the number of cases will more than double by the year 2060. And another study finds canola oil in your diet could lead to symptoms similar to what we see in Alzheimer's. Researchers have linked canola oil to problems with memory and learning ability in mice.
And check out this frightening scene on I-95 in South Florida. A tire fell off a commuter bus rolling down the road. The driver then loses control, hitting a pickup truck and a dividing wall. Luckily, no major injuries. This was the first day that the bus was riding on those new tires. Investigators now looking into whether they were faulty or installed incorrectly. And now to a highway spill near Philadelphia. A tractor trailer carrying Tito's vodka flipped over. The driver is okay, but we're very sad to report some of those vodka bottles didn't make it.
All right, so now to sports and a dramatic game on Thursday Night Football.
Highlights now from ESPN.
Good morning, America. With Kevin Connors, I'm Zubin Mehenti. Thursday night saw one of the wildest games we've seen in the NFL all season long.
Competitive right on down to the end. Falcons down 7, fourth quarter. Matt Ryan to Mohamed Sanu. Falcons tie the game up at 17 on the 8-yard strike. Under 2 minutes to go, Saints driving. Drew Brees, end zone, but it's picked off by Deion Jones. His 5th interception in the last 2 seasons, tied for 3rd most among linebackers. Closing moments hit. This is where you just kind of try to run the game out. Devontae Freeman fumbled it. Thank God Wes Schweitzer was there to jump on it. Falcons win 20-17.
From the NBA, light schedule on Thursday. 4 games, but 2 superstars to boot. Fantastic finish between the Lakers and the Sixers. Final seconds, this is how you know you're not a superstar. Superstars get this call. Joel Embiid, not quite yet. Back the other way. Ball in the hands of Lonzo Ball. What's he going to do? Back to Lonzo. Had a notion. Fires for Brandon Ingram, and that is going to win the game. Lakers win 107-104. 8 more games in the NBA on this Friday. And I'm sure, as Kevin would say, we wish all of you a great weekend. Enjoy.
Back at you, fellas. Up next in the Pulse, the popular new holiday drink that has more calories than a quarter pounder.
Also,
ditching their iconic brown delivery trucks in at least one city.
The city council in Golden, Colorado has given its okay for UPS to test golf carts with trailers attached. It's a delivery plan most residents applaud.
I'd rather see a little golf cart going up 12th Street, our narrow little street here, than a big brown boat sailing up.
Now, UPS says it's had success with other kinds of vehicles in other cities.
The golf cart plan is set to take effect very soon.
Does that mean when they deliver my golf clubs, it won't look so weird?
Oh, there you go. Well, they may be a little bit used.
Oh.
The delivery man might figure, hey, I got the vehicle, might as well just make a quick pit stop.
All right, so next, the new holiday drink that's all the rage at Starbucks. It's called the Christmas Tree Frappuccino.
It's basically a peppermint mocha milkshake with whipped cream, caramel, candied cranberries, and a strawberry.
That's all it's got?
Add that all up. 420 calories in a medium. That is more than a quarter pounder with cheese.
It's double the sugar and nearly all the saturated fat you should have in a day. One diet expert calls the drink, quote, a massive dessert masquerading as a morning drink.
Ooh.
I'll take one, please. Anybody else want one? We're taking orders.
Might as well.
Yes.
It's the holidays. And a Salvation Army donor in Portland, Oregon was clearly in the giving spirit.
Someone dropped $10,000 into one of the red kettles. The anonymous donor's gift was all in $100 bills.
Yeah, the people manning the kettles say on a good day, they'll bring in $7,000 in an entire city. The Salvation Army official calls the gift a true blessing. Very generous.
Yes.
And anonymous.
Good for that person. Now to an incredibly cute copycat that happens to be a dog.
Take a look. This is an adorable dog over in Brazil who has figured out how to mimic every facial expression his owner makes.
Or maybe he's copying the dog.
Well, they've got it down. Whatever their routine is, they have figured it out because you can see as the dog follows along right on cue, the owner gives a yawn, the dog gives a yawn. The owner frowns, smiles, dog smiles, back to a frown.
We should try that. More news right after this.
With a new state of emergency as another raging fire erupts near San Diego. That makes 6 major fires now burning out of control. At least 190,000 people have been ordered to evacuate. At least 500 buildings have been destroyed.
A former South Carolina police officer has been sentenced to 20 years in prison for killing an unarmed black man. Michael Sliger shot Walter Scott as Scott ran away from him. In court, Scott's mother said she forgives Sliger.
President Trump is expected to sign a temporary funding bill passed by Congress to avoid a government shutdown until at least December 22nd. They now have 2 weeks to find a long-term budget solution.
Checking today's weather, rain and even some rare snow in the southeast today. Snow around the Great Lakes and historic Santa Ana winds continue to cause problems for fire crews in California.
And finally from us, the late night comics take on the news of the week.
Here now, your Friday funnies.
Trump then signed the order that will further divide Muslims and Jews, surrounded by Christmas trees. Peace talks roasting on an open fire.
It was even more disturbing to watch the conflict between Donald Trump's teeth and his tongue.
God bless the Palestinians and God bless the United States. Thank you very much.
Yo, did President Trump just Adele Dazeem the United States?
Looks like someone's been hitting the eggnog a little early this year. United States.
It seemed like someone hit him with a blow dart just before he went out to make the speech. Like he was like, all right, let's go to discuss peace. I'm like, peace in the mediation. The peace in the mediation.
I am really looking forward to this January 30th. We're live when Trump addresses a joint session of Congress for the Church of the Union. My fellow Americans, the Church of our Union is curved.
Look at that screw. I mean, I knew he had a screw loose. We didn't know he had a tooth loose.
I think Trump realized his mistake later on. He sent a tweet saying, I messed up, Shrad.
Energy Secretary Rick Perry visited Saudi Arabia and he took some pictures to document his trip. They were pretty interesting. For instance, here's Rick Perry showing his sensitive side. Look at that. Doesn't look like he's on a diplomatic trip. He looks like